Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another reaction to Johnny Harris, and it's not the sort of typical video I feel like he posts. He usually does sort of conspiracies or like real sort of topics going on in the world. I mean, my last reaction to his video was the guy from Russia who basically ended up getting locked up because of Putin and just like the controversies going on there. But yeah, this video is why Americans eat dessert for breakfast, and I mean, it's something that I don't know if people are going to enjoy this reaction or what, but I do kind of think like, actually no, maybe not, because desserts, like when you think of like desserts, I'm thinking of like ice cream or like chocolate cake or crumble or something, but I'm assuming maybe he means like pancakes, waffle. I ain't got COVID, I swear. Pancakes, waffles. I don't really know what else. Maybe I'll just see in this video. I don't know what to really expect, but yeah, we're going to check this out. I know the US is known for its breakfasts, for its crazy, crazy breakfasts. And I mean, for when I do come and travel to the US and hopefully around, depending on when it happens, I'd love to try some of these out. I'm expecting to gain a lot of weight when I go to the US because I'm going to be wanting to try a lot of things out. But I don't know, this would give me a brief sort of look at what to expect for when it does hopefully happen. My throat is fucked. But yeah, let's just get into this. Quick shout out to my Instagram, my Twitter, links in the description for that. Oh my god. Same for my Patreon, links are all there. And I'm just going to get into this. My throat hurts and I'm just going to watch this.
I f***ing hate American breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Every morning I eat a good breakfast.
Right away, a big bite of toast.
For kids like a square meal for breakfast. A wonderful new fruit-in-the-box cereal.
I mean, how did we get here? How did this become breakfast in my country?
But, pancakes. When you actually think of it, I've never actually had pancakes for breakfast unless it's on Pancake Day. I don't know if this is the day that you celebrate in the US, or you have in the US, not really celebrate. But like it's a day where you have pancakes basically for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. You don't just have pancakes, but it's a day that we just sort of have it here. Not every single day, but I always did think pancakes were a sort of breakfast meal. But maybe in the US it is like a sort of a cultural thing where just pancakes are literally like your cereals, where you'll get here, you have like cereal or toast or crumpets. Shout out my crumpets.
And what is breakfast even all about? Some people say it's the most important meal of the day, and others say that it's totally worthless and you don't even need to eat breakfast.
Some people don't even eat breakfast.
2 pancakes with hot syrup and butter.
I bet a lot of you watching don't eat breakfast in the morning. And you know who else doesn't eat breakfast in the morning? This guy.
What do you eat for breakfast? Nothing.
I grew up thinking that breakfast had to be a certain way. But then in my 20s, I started traveling, and I learned that in fact this version of breakfast is a very narrow, very American version of breakfast. Once I discovered non-American breakfast, I feel like my eyes were opened to a completely different approach to the first meal of the day. I want to show you some of those breakfasts. But first, let's talk about breakfast and how American breakfast got this way.
Before I get into this, what did I have for breakfast? I had a smoothie. I made my own smoothie and I put porridge in it. And then I had a toasty, which isn't very healthy. A cheese and ham toasty. not the best breakfast, but to be fair, I was hungry. And I had breakfast quite late. It's kind of like brunch actually, breakfast and lunch together, because I hadn't I ate it at like what, 12 o'clock, half 12.
For about 22 cents, you get as much nutrition as this bacon and egg breakfast when there's no time for your regular breakfast.
Okay, before I jump into all of my opinions about breakfast, let's talk about science for a minute, like facts. Does breakfast matter? Is it actually the most important meal of the day like I was told my whole life?
You can't be your best if you don't eat a good breakfast.
Turns out there's data on this, lots of studies, but you don't need to read them all. In fact, don't read them all. Let me give you the 20-second version. Turns out the methods in a lot of these studies are really crummy. They weren't randomized controlled trials, like, the gold standard for good science. And in a lot of cases, they didn't really study anything useful. They kind of hyper-focus on breakfast as it pertains to weight. And in most of these studies, they don't even focus on what the person is eating for breakfast. They only focus on whether they do or do not eat breakfast, regardless of what they're actually eating. And to add to all of this, a lot of these studies are funded by corporations who have a vested interest in making breakfast seem necessary and healthy. So yeah, there's a lot of science on this, but the science does not come to any useful conclusions and is oftentimes just poorly conducted. What this means is that the there's no real evidence that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And there's nothing special or magic about breakfast. That's more of a marketing myth than anything.
I kind of see this, but at the same time, I remember when I used to go to school, and sometimes because you go to school so early, you won't eat breakfast, or I wouldn't, because when I first wake up, I can't eat. I have to wait a bit before I can eat. So I wouldn't eat, and then 10 o'clock at school, so I'd get to school like 8:30. By 10 o'clock, I'm starving. I can't focus, because when I'm hungry, I cannot focus. And I've got to wait till lunch. I've got to wait till like 12, wait until like 1 to eat my first meal of the day. That's when it's kind of like, okay, breakfast is quite important. But if you're just sort of able to get food whenever, like where you work or whatever it is, or maybe you've got like the weekend at home or like you're on holidays, then yeah, maybe breakfast isn't as important. But still, it's the way you look at it, I guess. The aspect.
Had any really good days lately? Like when the sun shines brighter, and people seem friendlier, and work goes faster? Days like that? Well, the really good days start out good with new Carnation Instant Breakfast.
Okay, wait, but there is a little caveat in this. If you're like an 8-year-old kid or like a teenager and you're like in school, there actually is some useful evidence that says that eating breakfast in the morning is good for your learning and brain development. So that's the caveat. There actually is evidence there. For the rest of us, though, if you like breakfast in the morning, eat breakfast in the morning. If you're not into that, don't do it. Okay, that's it. But unless you're a kid, but I don't know how many kids are watching. Okay, so that's the science on this. Turns out that I was a person for many years who thought that I didn't like breakfast, that I didn't need to eat breakfast. Growing up in a small town in Oregon, I didn't have a ton of exposure to other cultures and other things, and so my version of breakfast was this.
Have a bowl of cornflakes, spoon them from the dish.
I love me some cereal, bro.
This is all I knew as breakfast food. When we would eat like eggs and bacon for dinner, we were having breakfast for dinner. This food was inseparable from the institution of breakfast.
That looks so good, bro. I
If
need
you're
that
not
in
from
my
the United
life.
States, let me just break down what American breakfast is and its story, where it came from. I'll split it out into two main categories of breakfast in the United States. One I call diner breakfast. It kind of looks like this. And the other I will call cereal, which is everything from Pop-Tarts to Fruit Loops.
Where are the Fruit Loops? I didn't bring any.
To granola bars, to Carnation Instant Breakfast. It's like the quick stuff that's in our pantries that we can just consume before work. First, let's talk about diner breakfast. There's no better reference for what diner breakfast is in the United States than the official menu of IHOP, which is so inappropriately named as the International House of Pancakes.
Welcome to the International House of Pancakes.
Hi. At IHOP, this American institution, you can start your day with this, the stuffed French toast, which effectively looks like my birthday cake. Or you can get really cultured and hop over to Italy for some Nutella crepes. Or how about the Belgian waffle
I love
combo,
crepes.
which isn't just a waffle, but also comes with bacon and eggs.
See, bro, this is crazy to me. Waffles with bacon and eggs. I need to try this, bro. Because this is sweet waffles as well. These are sweet waffles with savoury things like bacon. But bacon does obviously go with like sweet things a lot. Again, I spoke in my last video about how they have bacon milkshakes in what's the place called? What's that burger place called? Not In-N-Out. I can't think of the name. It's an American food chain. I can't remember the name. But like it's a really popular thing, and eggs as well. But like just together, like I can't imagine, but I do want to try it.
Perhaps you're feeling savory. So how about this breakfast sampler where you can eat a pig in 3 different ways? Because who just wants to eat bacon when you could have all 3? All of this accompanied by French fries. Hash browns. But why settle for these meager options when you could go with the Cinestack pancakes, which come layered with a luscious cinnamon roll filling and drizzled with rich cream cheese icing and topped with, you guessed it, whipped cream. Icing for breakfast.
God
Now
damn.
here's the thing.
I don't
this
like the icing,
diner
honestly,
style
no. Not a
American
fan.
breakfast is inspired by Europe.
Really?
American pancakes look a lot like other sweet, flat, unleavened breads that are eaten all over the world and especially in Europe. We just deemed it necessary to fry it in butter and then put more butter on top and then drizzle literal liquid sugar over top and eat it for breakfast. That was the only modification we made to this wonderful tradition of European pancakes. The idea of eating pork-based cured meats in the morning is also a European tradition. It comes from like the traditional English breakfast, which
Mate,
is delicious.
English
We just
breakfast
decided
so
to get
much.
rid of some elements from that, like the beans and the tomatoes and the mushrooms. Who needs those anyway?
Where are the Fruit Loops?
The American waffle comes from the beautiful, delicious tradition of the Belgian or
Belgian,
Liège
yeah.
waffles, which are served in dessert stores as desserts in Belgium. They're delicious. The modification we made was to eat them for breakfast and then decide to take out the best part, which is the pearl sugar, the crystallized sugar that makes a Belgian waffle or a Liège waffle delicious. To summarize, this diner style took European traditions, turned them into breakfast, and modified them by making them lower quality, bigger portions, and usually slathering them with cream and maple syrup.
See, that's crazy to me. Look, they got cereal. You got cereals on top of pancakes. That's kind of and icing, and just like, what the hell? See, I can imagine being a kid wanting this every single day, but you can also understand how like bad for you this would be if you had this like every other day for breakfast. How often do people in the US have like pancakes for breakfast or like waffles for breakfast? Is it like one of those things that you'll have like once a week or twice a week, or is it one of those things that you have every single day? Because if it's once or twice, it's not actually that bad. Well, it is still quite bad, but it's not like sometimes you want to treat yourself, if that makes sense. But if it's like every single day, that is
You can
crazy.
eat pancakes. This calls for all-you-can-eat silverware. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes free when you buy any breakfast combo.
I mean, icing for breakfast? It just doesn't sound good. Okay, so that's the diner version of American breakfast, a big, important category of what Americans like to eat for breakfast. The other category looks like this.
Cornflakes, mate, I love cornflakes so much.
This is the stuff that's in our pantries. This is the stuff we eat before we go to work. It's quick, it's what I grew up eating as a child. Let's call this the cereal category. This food came into our lives and became widespread because of one main force: industrialization.
The factory whistle awakened people in the mornings and measured off their long days of toil.
With the birth of factories and the standardized workday, suddenly you had demand for a consistent, quick, convenient food in the morning to fuel you for the day. Paired with that, you also now had technology to mass produce products that would fit this demand. Perhaps the best symbol of this shift towards mass produced, easy, convenient breakfast food is cornflakes.
Kellogg's cornflakes.
But I'm gonna be honest, bro. I grew up in this kind of stuff as well. Every day, like before school. Again, some days I wouldn't eat because I just couldn't be arsed. And when I woke up, I used to wake up really late, so I had no time as well. But I still eat cereal a lot. It's just one of those things that I really enjoy. But I try and get sort of like the healthy versions, like. But some days I will get the chocolatey things, like whatever. I don't know what comparisons in the US, but like Cocoa Pops or whatever. And I'll eat them within like 3 or 4 days because I just eat it, not just for breakfast. I'll just eat it when I'm like wanting a snack or something. It's so bad. But yeah, like things like cereals, toasts, like you'd have like spreads like Nutella on it or like peanut butter. I'd have that a lot, or jam. But I mean, I guess that is just being a kid, right? Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say because isn't this quite normal to have like cereals? Maybe it's when it gets to the more unhealthy cereals, but still.
The Kellogg's Corporation, which made cornflakes, was a pioneer in making this breakfast food popular, not only because they were able to mass produce it and cheaply sell it, but also because they marketed it in this way that made it feel like the most important thing in the world.
The Kellogg's add extra vitamins to make their cornflakes the best there's ever been.
But there was a problem. Over time, people would look at this lousy bowl of cornflakes and be like, who wants to eat this? This is boring. But
And then
America had a
change
solution.
up.
All we needed to do was pump it full of sugar.
One big gulp of it.
Yum. Gives me lots of energy.
This nutritious breakfast.
Jeez. I mean, that's pretty aggressive right there. Wow. Yeah. That's how I feel after I eat a Pop-Tart as well. Anyway, people started to believe that breakfast, and especially these commodities, which were quickly becoming dessert disguised as breakfast,
The ultimate fruit flavor.
were the key to a healthy morning and a good start to the day. And soon, I was born into a world where breakfast products and norms were cemented before me. A world where millions of Americans would wake up in the morning and consume dessert disguised as breakfast. Your muffin is just a cupcake in disguise. That cup of yogurt might as well be a scoop of ice cream. And
Yeah,
then
sure,
there's the
man.
mighty donut.
I've learned to now buy yogurt, just plain yogurt, and I'll add my own stuff to it, because when you buy yogurts when they're like already like full of, like they're flavored or whatever, it's just full of sugar, bro.
The
Donuts.
food that doesn't even pretend to be breakfast.
Donuts.
It's just literal dessert, and it's like shamelessly just like, hey, I'm dessert. You want to eat me for breakfast? And a lot of
What?
people are like, yeah. I mean, I kind of respect that. I'm kind of like, if you're gonna be dessert, just like represent yourself. I respect the donut. But wait, let me make one thing clear. My issues with this have nothing to do with nutrition, even sugar or calories or any of that. I actually have a big issue with our obsession with categorizing food by its numbers and its constituent parts. Not into that, I don't really care. My problem here is that I don't like this food. I just genuinely do not want to wake up and consume dessert for breakfast. If you do like this stuff for breakfast, that's awesome. I have no issues with you, and I'm not going to try to convince you to change that.
Cereal pancakes.
Yum.
With cinnamon toast crunch, Lucky
That's
Charms,
crazy,
and Captain
bro.
Crunch.
Okay, so a little bit of time has passed, and
That is
a
crazy,
few
though.
things have changed.
I can't get over icing for breakfast.
Number one, I got a haircut. But number two, I think I'm cracking the code on how to change my breakfast experience. I've spent the past few months thinking a lot about breakfast, and I've started to introduce different breakfast cultures into my morning routine that have really changed my world.
Okay. I might actually want to learn a few things here and there. Honestly.
I'm not going to share all this with you now because this video would be like 30 minutes long, but I have been filming all of this, and it has been a really interesting journey to invite different breakfast cultures into my world. If enough people are interested and you leave comments somewhere, I will share it and make a video about what breakfast looks like for me these days. Spoiler alert.
I'd be interested in that,
There's
honestly.
no icing. I still have my occasional bowl of Lucky Charms, which is a delicious cereal, and the occasional pancake with my kid.
I've never ever had Lucky Charms, bro. That's one of those things that I just need to try, because Lucky Charms, those sort of like, when you think of cereals in the US, it's Lucky Charms for me. And it's just like one of those things that's so famous. They sell it here, but I've never like thought to buy it because they sell it for like £10 here, which is like $15, which is just a rip-off. But maybe I should. I'm still gonna do a US food tasting or testing video. I just don't know when, because I want to have like a proper setup for it and like lockdown. So I can maybe have like a friend in it, like recording, like a proper sort of recording thing. But when that happens, man, I'm gonna definitely try like a lot of US foods out. And I'm gonna set my PO box up as well, and just stuff like that. But that's for the future. But yeah, Lucky Charms, I need to try them.
It's great stuff. I mean, I'm not above that food. It's just not what I want to eat every morning. So anyway, I'll share that if you're interested. Lastly, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Skillshare, which
Shout
is a
out,
place
man.
where I have learned.
Shout out to him getting his money, man. Deserves it. This channel is really, really interesting. He deserves these sponsors. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? People in the US eat like they have free healthcare. Try Slavic breakfast, coffee with free cigarettes. I'm here being Asian, looking at these clips of food, thinking, where the fuck is the rice? Rice for breakfast? That's interesting. In Germany, we say eat breakfast like an emperor, lunch like a king, dinner like a beggar. I grew up in France. First time I ate pancakes in an American restaurant, they put a very small scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. As a kid, I felt so happy to have ice cream for breakfast. I put the whole thing in my mouth and I found out it was just butter. Yeah, is it literally just butter? Like when I'm thinking of butter, I'm literally just thinking that thing that you like spread on toast and stuff, or you used to mix like to make like cakes or whatever. Like you just use it to mix things and cook things. Is it that kind of butter, or is it like a butter made differently? I don't know, that sounds really stupid, but just a slob of butter on pancakes doesn't really make sense to me. Americans, pancakes and butter, bacon with extra butter for breakfast. Europeans, bread and cheese. If you complain, you'd be like, we take your cheese. Yeah, I can't complain. I just watched the guy rant about breakfast for 13 minutes. I'm French, my breakfast is made from coffee, cigarette and croissants. And a touch of nihilism. What the hell is that? I really want to see his breakfast. Yeah, same. I'd actually be down to see that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? From people from the US, again, the majority of my audience is from the US. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me your favourite breakfasts. Do you eat like these kind of pancakes with icing and Lucky Charms every like single day, or is it like one of those one-off things that you'll have every so often. Because if it is like that, I don't actually have an issue. I don't have an issue anyway. But if it's like every day, bruh, that is crazy. But I mean, just let me know your thoughts really. But hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. If you want more from this channel, let me know. And until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.